Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. So I'm back for another Have Your Say video.
Please just shut up.
And this video is for All Stars 11 episode 11, which is the semi-final. So we're going to be recapping what happened in the episode, going through the results of the Have Your Say poll where you at home get to vote on if you agree with the outcome of the episode. And we'll be talking about some very recent drama to do with Jasmine Kennedy calling out A'keria C. Davenport for being rude to production, and then A'keria fired back. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Okay, so let's start by recapping the episode. So the queens come in from last week, and obviously, unfortunately, Kennedy Davenport was the one eliminated. And they start off with a little bit of shade, which we all like. It's that they get to see the receipts of the Rater Queen. And obviously there is the usual shade of like, oh, why did you put me in the bottom and blah, blah, blah. The big thing is that A'keria and Silky, obviously they have a previous beef, which has also exploded recently. I have done 2 videos on the matter, one more recently than the other. I'll link to both in the description. If you haven't watched it, then you're only getting half the story, honey. But basically, A'keria thinks that Silky was being shady for putting her in the bottom and all that kind of stuff. And that actually does feed into a little bit of drama that happened to do with this week's episode. And I'll talk about that at the end of the video, so stick around until then and then we'll talk about it. But we find out that the main challenge for this week is the talent show. So this means not only do we get obviously a talent show, which is very common now, I think it happens all the time. I quite like a talent show. I think it's a very sort of standard challenge, but it does give the queens a blank page, carte blanche, it's French. But obviously the queens can just do whatever they want, and I think it really is a good way to showcase what they can do because they have no constraints, really. It also means, because they're doing the talent show, that means I think this is the first season, especially All Stars, or maybe season general, that has no snatch game. There has been no snatch game at all this season. So is that a good thing or a bad thing? Let me know in the comments. But let's just skip past that and we're going to get to the real, like, meat on the bone, shall we say, of this talent show. So the first queen up in the talent show was Sam Star, and she did an original song. I thought Sam's performance was cute. It was about being the teacher's pet, and because of RuPaul did call her that in one random episode. I did think it was kind of crazy that she built her entire talent show around one comment, but it was fun. It was an original song. We've heard a million of them before. It was catchy, and I think it was also very cleanly done. There was no mistakes. She was great, but it wasn't maybe the most imaginative thing. So I would give it a yay because it was performed well, but probably a just okay because it was maybe a little bit meh. In the Have Your Say poll, I think you agree, 58.2 for just okay, then 23.6 for yay, but then 18.2 for nay, which is still quite a lot. After that, we have the homosexual gay homosexual Joey J, who did a ballroom cha-cha number. I really liked this because this is obviously something that Joey has a background in from before. I like when queens do an actual talent that isn't just like an original song or whatever. I know it's hard because not everyone has as many talents as some people.
Except for Serena.
But I do think that it's better when queens do something that they have an actual background in, or something that not everyone can do. I really liked it. I do think it's a bit of a shame that there was that slip up where she sort of didn't quite land it properly. Other than that, it was a very good performance, and I liked that she did something that not everyone could do. If I did this, I would break both hips because my hips certainly do lie. But I really enjoyed it, so I would still give it a yay, but a soft yay, maybe just okay because of the mistake. In the Have Your Say poll, maybe you were a bit harsher than I was. Yay did come out on top with 47.7, but then just okay got 45.2. I wonder if it was because of the mistake, so I think that did cost her dearly, I guess. And then 7.1 for nay. Next up is Jasmine Kennedy, and she did a cheerleading routine. Again, similar to what I said about Joey, I like that Jasmine did something that she has an actual background in, and she talked about her previous background doing cheerleading. It's not something that everyone could do. We have seen cheerleading on Drag Race before. It was on, was it season 9? And that was kind of a disaster because apparently lots of queens got injured because they didn't have enough time to do it and all of that stuff. Hopefully, I don't think they had that this time. I thought Kennedy did really well. I have seen, I guess, better cheer routines on other TV shows before, but given the time constraints and the constraints of this being Drag Race, and the background dancers are obviously not professional cheerleading dancers, which is different. I mean, obviously I could do it because I I can do anything.
Nothing.
But I still really enjoyed it, so I would give her a yay because it was something a bit more original. In the Have Your Say poll, 76%, which is over 3/4, said yay. Then it was just okay with, let's call it 20%, 19.9 if we're being exact, and then 4.1 for nay. Next up, we have Dawn, who did an original song / burlesque. I quite liked it. I thought the big cage was cute and the whole thing was about her ears. And I liked the fact that her ears had a reveal as well. I do think, again, though, it was basically just an original song. So it wasn't as original as some of the others. But it was a catchy song and she did it well. But again, I am looking for some originality, he says, wearing the most basic green t-shirt.
My question the whole entire time is, why is she green?
Well, Tamar, have you ever watched the show?
I liked it overall. I will say it did lack maybe a little bit of originality in terms of we have seen stuff a bit like this before, but it was funny and I liked it and it was clean. So again, it'd be a yay / just okay. I feel like I'm giving everyone that. In the Have Your Say poll, 68.3% said yay, which is the majority, but then 26.6%, which is over 1/4, said just okay. So maybe you also felt the same way as me. And then 5.1 for nay. After that, we have Akira C. Davenport, who did an original song / puppet routine. We have seen something a bit like this before. If you remember, Blue Hydrangea did it on UK versus the World. I do think Blue's was maybe slightly more successful than this one. It is a cool thing though, and I like that she did something really different. It was something a bit silly as well, and not something we would normally associate with Akira, who's normally the sort of very polished, quite serious person who does pageantry and things. I do think the only slight thing for me is you could tell that maybe she had some time constraints getting the puppets ready as they showed in the episode. The front puppet, I think the mouth was supposed to move and it didn't. So it did just look a little bit weird when they zoomed in and it was just a kind of creepy puppet face that wasn't moving. I think it could have been executed a bit better. So I think I'd give it a just okay. But I will give her props for it being something original. In the Have Your Say poll, the biggest proportion was 48.4 for just okay. But then actually it was nay with 31.9. So yeah, I guess you kind of were more ambivalent but didn't like it more than you liked it. And then 19.7 said yay. Then penultimately we have Crystal Method, who did a sort of comedy burlesque. Now we have seen comedy burlesque. We've seen burlesque quite a few times, but also comedy burlesque. This isn't the first time we've seen someone do this sort of like silly thing. It kind of did remind me a little bit of what Jimbo did on UK versus the World. That wasn't burlesque as such, but it was more like pulling things out of orifices and all that kind of stuff. It was giving a little bit that. It was fun and it was clean and it was something a little bit different, but I personally was not as crazy for it as the judges were, but I do think it was a good performance, but we have seen something like that before, so I was hoping she was going to do something a little bit more original. I would give it a just okay towards a yay, because it was good, but I wanted better. In the Have Your Say poll, I wonder if you were also a bit conflicted, because it was 45.4 for yay, which was the biggest amount, but then 40.5, which is not that much less, for just okay, and then 14.1 for nay, which is actually quite high. And then finally, we have Silky Nutmeg Ganache, who did an original song / dance performance. I liked it. I liked that she was showing something a bit different we haven't necessarily seen. We've seen dance before, but the style of dance is a bit different. I thought she moved well. I don't think it necessarily had as many gags as we've seen with some people doing these kind of dancey routines. When I think to someone like Aja, who did that for All Stars 3, and she was like, is she going to jump from there? And then jumped off. Like, that was like a gag that we weren't necessarily expecting. I think this was nice, but it would maybe was just sort of standard dancing that we've seen before, but I liked it, and I think it's something, at least it was trying to bring in something that wasn't what every single person does. So I would give it a just okay, I think. In the Have Your Say poll, I feel like this was maybe the most split of everyone, because 47.3% said just okay, which was the top, but then nay and yay were pretty much neck and neck. Yay did come out technically second with 26.5, but then nay was like a fraction behind with 26.3, so there was 0.2 difference between the two. Did you like how quick that maths was?
So I started in 2005, so 12 years.
That's not 12 years.
So yeah, I'm very conflicted on this. Maybe I also feel the same. It's like you could make an argument either way for whether it was good, bad, or meh. So I asked you, give me an S, give me an L, give me an A, give me a Y. What does that mean? Slay in the talent show. And you voted Jasmine Kennedy came out on top with 42.6%. Then it was Dawn with 27.8%. And then Crystal Method came third with 12.8%. I think I would have to agree, I would give Jasmine the slay because out of everyone, although I did say we've seen other cheerleading routines and things like that, I do think it was something a bit original. We haven't seen it loads of times before. She has an actual background in it and does things that not everyone could do. But also, out of everyone that did do something a bit more original, like her and Joey and Silky, I do think this one was the cleanest and didn't have any mess ups or anything like that. So I would give it to Jasmine. Okay, so let's move on to the runway for this week, and the category was It's Giving Crowned Queen. So let's start with the second biggest gay in this competition, Sam Starr. I like this look. I will say, I think the judges said it, or maybe some of the other people said it, maybe this kind of like cowboy, cowgirl thing is getting a little bit old because she's done this quite a few times now, I think, already. It's a nice look, though. I think it's really nicely done. Personally, I will say I didn't get that no one really did like crowns. I know it's called It's Giving Crowned Queen, which doesn't necessarily mean you wear an actual crown. It means that you're going to win the pageant or whatever, or you're just a winner in general. But I did think that they were going to have something crowns, but no one really did. Anyway, that's nothing to do with Sam, though. I like the idea. I would give it a yay/just okay. In the Have Your Say poll, you seemed a lot harsher than me because it was 42.6 for just okay. Then it was 33.2 for nay, which I think is a little harsh. Maybe it's because it is a bit predictable for Sam. And then 24.2 for yay. Next up is the first homosexual contestant, Joey J. I really like this look. It's definitely giving, I'm on my fifth husband, I just buried my fourth, that kind of thing. Rich bitch energy. I really liked it. It's simple but effective. I think the hair and the stole, is that what they call it? That thing that she's got on. It kind of looks a little bit like beads on the end, a certain type of beads, if you know what I mean. Not that I would know.
I like to keep my... up. You're a whore.
But I liked it, and I think it's very clean. I would give it a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, 70.5% of you said yay, so I think pretty fair to say that you liked this. But then 26.6 for just okay, which is still over a quarter, and then 2.8 for nay. Next up is Jasmine Kennedy with Michelle Visage's favorite color. I think this look is okay. I think the hair and makeup are really nice. I'm not 100% sold on the outfit. I just don't think it's as amazing as some of the others. It's nice, but nothing to write home about. I'm probably not going to remember this look, but I think the actual mug, as they would say, is stamped and the hair is really nice, but the rest of it was a bit more meh, so I would give it a just okay. In the Have Your Say poll, well, clearly F my drag, because you don't agree. 50.1% said yay, so over half. 42% said just okay, though, so maybe I was just in the other camp. Maybe I would have switched them around, but whatever. But it's okay, not everyone can be right all the time.
Well, guess what, Mimi?
And then 7.9 for nay. After that, we have Dawn. I love this outfit so much. This is so elevated. I think all the meticulous details, like all the different little flowers. It's very Dawn style with like the ears and elfy blue face, like giving a little bit Avatar / I don't know, florist. Like if an avatar worked in a florist, this is what they would look like. I really like it. I just think all the details are on point. The dress itself is really pretty. The makeup is stunning. Definitely this gets a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, a mere 90.2% said yay. So again, no prizes for guessing that one. 8.4 for just okay, and then 1.3 said nay. After that is Akira C. Davenport. This is a really pretty look. I love the colors and everything. It's a beautiful silhouette as well. It's kind of definitely, I could tell straight away this was Phoenix rising from the ashes. The only slight thing I will say, and it is a beautiful look, but when I saw it, it just reminded me of her promo look for this season, which is very similar color because she was in the orange bracket, but also it was very similar in terms of the silhouette. It was like, the hugging the body, but then the big, like almost hoop skirt at the bottom. So that was my only thing, that it did just look a bit like something I've already seen before. But it is an incredible look though, and that doesn't necessarily take away from that. She looks stunning, so I'd still give it a yay, but it just definitely reminded me of that. In the Have Your Say poll, 76.7% of you, so over 3/4, said yay. I would agree, it is amazing. 21% said just okay. Maybe you also noticed the same thing as me. And then 2.3% said nay, which is still kind of crazy to me because she still looks amazing. Then penultimately we have Crystal Method. This is such an incredible look. I mean, we know Crystal brings it all the time, but she explained that this is a sort of a nod to her Latin American heritage, but it's just the outfit, it's so meticulously done. I almost don't even know where to start. And it could look really tacky because there's so much stuff. I mean, I know about tacky. But it doesn't. Somehow it all just really works. Like, it's so much detail. It's a feast for the eyes as well as for the soul, I guess. I love this look so much. It's definitely a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, I was surprised actually this wasn't more, but 84.6 said yay, which don't get me wrong, is great, but I thought it was going to be more than 90%, to be honest. 11.1 said just okay, and then 4.3 said nay. I don't know what you're looking at, but I think you need to go to the optician because clearly you've got something wrong with your eyes. And finally, we have Silky Nutmeg Ganache. Now, if you've watched my Roscoe's recap for this week, and if you have not watched it, go and look at yourself in the mirror, spit on the mirror because that's what you deserve, then go and watch my video. But in the Roscoe's recap, Crystal and Joey were there, and they actually revealed that this was a backup look. This wasn't Silky's original look she was going to wear. I think the original look didn't arrive in time. So for this being a backup, this is actually an amazing look. I loved that on the runway you heard her, the fact that she said it was so heavy, and you could hear it like clacking against the stage. It is maybe a little bit more simple than what you would expect, but it is definitely giving crowned queen. I think it's actually a really beautiful look and it's really intricate, but does it give crowned queen as much as the others? Maybe not, but for a backup look, I'm still giving it a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, this was obviously quite polarizing because 48% said yay, but then 38.5, which is not that far off necessarily, said just okay, and then 13.5 for nay, which is maybe more than I was expecting. So I asked you, whose It's Giving Crowned runway look gets a slay, and you voted 49.5% for Dawn, which was the biggest by far, pretty much almost half, 29.5% for Silky Nutmeg Ganache, and then all the others were kind of not very much, but third place technically goes to Akiri with 9.9%. I 100% agree, although I did love Crystal's look, Dawn's just completely blew all the others out of the water. It was so meticulously done, so many details. I just didn't know where to look first. I thought the makeup was great, everything was great. Definitely it's giving crowned queen of wherever it is the avatars live. So we find out that the winner of this week, which is decided by RuPaul, is Crystal Method. I asked you in the Have Your Say poll, do you agree with the winner? 76.7% said no, so that's well over 3/4, and then 23.3% said yes. So of that 3/4 of you who did not agree, I said, who do you think should have been the winner? Interestingly, it was quite split, but Jasmine Kennedy definitely came out on top with 51.6%, and then it was Dawn with 34.5%, and then all of the others had pretty low figures, but they were pretty split between them. I would agree. I was gagged that Crystal won in a way. We'll get onto this later, but we did talk about the whole, is it being rigged for Crystal to win this season? I talked about that last week, and I even said, if they give Crystal the win last week and this week, she's definitely winning, and it looks like that's what's happened. So I don't agree. I don't think Crystal should have won. It was fine, but I do think someone like Jasmine should have won. Okay, so then to decide the bottom two queens, the queens do rate a queen like they did last week. I'm going to throw up the results on screen, and then obviously it goes from 1 to 7, 1 being the highest, 7 being the lowest. I know that the winner doesn't get voted on, so Crystal technically shouldn't be in this, but tough luck. I wanted all of them in it. So if we go through them alphabetically from left to right, obviously you can see Akira definitely got the most in the 7, as in the worst category. Crystal interestingly got quite split, more towards the front end of it, but definitely quite staggered. Then Dawn was also pretty near the front. She got the most in 1 and 2. Jasmine 100% came out as being the number 1. You can see she's got the most number 1s out of everyone. Joey J somewhere landing in the middle, I would say, whereas Sam and Silky are then pushing more towards the end. So yeah, I would vaguely agree. If I had to do the rate a queen, I would also rate it pretty much the same. So we find out the bottom 2 queens are Akira and Sam. And I think that does line up because Akira definitely got the most in your votes for the rate a queen in the 7 category. And then Sam got the most in the 6 category. So it does look like you pretty much agree, although it could have been between Sam or Silky. So Sam and Akira lip sync to the song Run the World Girls by Bay Once. And we find out the winner is Akira C. Davenport, which means unfortunately Sam's star is eliminated. I asked you in the Have Your Say poll, who do you think won the lip sync in your opinion? And it was a pretty landslide result, 82.7 for Akira and then 17.3 for Sam. And I would agree, I do think both of them did a decent job, but Akira was, I think, capturing the attention more. This is clearly more Akira's wheelhouse of that type of, that's the sort of song that she would do. I think that just her movements were really well done. I think Sam was fine, but I was looking more at Akira. Okay, so moving on to the final two questions. Question 8 was, who do you think will win the season? Now, there have been no changes here, except maybe it's got even more predictable, but it's 95.9 for Crystal Method, so a complete landslide. All of the others, apart from Joey J, aren't even on it because it doesn't even register because they're so small, but Joey J got 1.1%, and then all the others, as I said, are teeny tiny. But moving on to question 9, which I think is more interesting, is who do you want to win the season? Again, same as last week, Joey J came out on top by far with 48.6%. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's what you want. Crystal Method, interestingly, came out second, but only with 19.5, which is quite a big difference from 95, or let's say 96% of you thinking she will win, as opposed to less than 20% think that she should win. And then third was Dawn with 14.4. Okay, so now let's talk about something that I have that I know you would like to put your hands around and grip tightly because you don't want to let it go. That is, of course, my special poll, POLL, not POLE. Take your minds out of the gutter, please. This is a family channel.
Dirty, dirty, dirty.
But anyway, I have a special poll that I show to my Patreons and my YouTube members. If you would also like to see my special poll, then you can also sign up for my Patreon or my YouTube membership. There'll be links in the description, but it's a great way to support the channel, and you get things like early access to my videos before they even go on YouTube, so you can watch them before anyone else, exclusive content that never gets shown on YouTube and only to my members. So yeah, check that out, and there'll be links in the description. But for the special poll, I asked a slightly shady question, which was, do you think All Stars 11 has been rigged for Crystal Method, or does she deserve it on her own merit? Now, in my Patreon poll, 87% of you said yes, it's rigged for Crystal, and only 13% said no, she deserves it. And if we look at the comments, I won't read them all out, but pretty much all of my patrons said yes, it's rigged for Crystal, but I think she still deserves it, which I would agree with. And then if we look at the poll results for my YouTube members, same question, 64% said it's rigged for Crystal, and then 36% said no, she deserves it. So less of a strong result, still saying yes, it's rigged, but not as much, which I thought was interesting. And again, if you look at the comments, I won't read them out, but it's kind of the similar thing that people are a bit tired of it being rigged, but it's not Crystal's fault. Let's quickly move on to my comments for this week, which are a bit more generic, not just about the rigging, although that is a big part of it. So starting with my Patreon comments, my Patreon Deb said, I'm glad for the Rater Queen. By the way, RAQ took me ages to figure out that she meant Rater Queen. Maybe I'm just being dumb, but that took me a while. But I'm glad Rater Queen for this time because it felt like the Queens recognized Joey did a great job with a little fumble, which could happen to anyone. If production had been involved, then Joey might have been in the bottom. I agree. I think it's very telling, the fact that although Joey did stumble, literally, in both figuratively and physically, I think the fact that the other queens rated her quite high shows that they think she did deserve it, and I agree. I think if it was up to the judges, they would have put her in the bottom. And my patron Lady Nidaria said, I felt for Jasmine. I thought she did well, and although I wouldn't have picked her as my winner, I really thought Crystal's performance was so meh, so I could see why she felt hurt. That was because Jasmine got upset during the critiques and was like basically saying, I'm really upset because I thought I was going to win. And if you've not watched my Roscoes for this week, which again, if you have not, then you deserve a big slap around the face with my special poll. But basically they revealed that actually what Jasmine actually said, not just what they showed in the episode of, I thought it was going to be judged based on talent. So she was kind of saying Crystal shouldn't have won because hers wasn't as much of a talent, which was funny. But yeah, Crystal's talent was costume reveals. The whole episode felt meh. And I would agree, this was definitely not my favorite talent show. I think we've had a lot better ones. To me, they all kind of fell in the middle a little bit. Moving on to the comments in the Have Your Say poll, most of these are about Crystal, so let's just get into it. So someone said, Crystal is absolutely brilliant, but at the moment it feels like she's getting a favourite edit, which worries me. If she wins now, it will look a bit gingery, as in Ginger Minge from last season. 'Twas a good episode. Thanks, Matt. You're welcome, whoever you are. And this Ginger Minge thing was like a really big thing. A lot of people were saying things like, I think Crystal Minge will win the season. So Crystal Minge was a very recurring thing in the comments. Other people were saying things like, I love Crystal and think that she won last week, but this week? Question mark, exclamation mark. They aren't even trying to hide the rigor mortis. So sad to see Sam go. Her performance was totally fine, just a tad predictable. I agree with that. And then finally, this comment I think sums it up really well. Someone said, do I think it's rigor mortis for Crystal? Yes. Is it annoying AF to watch and makes us not root for her? Absolutely. Is she a fabulous queen who, in caps, doesn't deserve hate for production decision, also yes. And I 100% agree. This is very much like Ginger Minge last year. Yes, it is rigged for Crystal and Ginger, but you shouldn't send hate to those queens because it's not their decision. What do you expect the queens to be like, no, RuPaul, you can't give me the win this week because it's not fair? Obviously not. If you do have any thoughts or criticisms or complaints, make sure you address those to RuPaul and the producers, not the queens, because it's not the queens' fault at all. And I do feel bad for Crystal because she's getting a lot of hate online and it's literally not her fault. Is it rigged for her? Yes. But is it her fault? No. Two things can be true at the same time. But let me know in the comments what you thought about this whole talent show, but also the semis or the merge in general. Do you think it has definitely been rigged for Crystal Minge? Or do you think it's just that she was doing well and she deserved it anyway? And finally, we're going to move on to some drama that happened very recently, slightly to do with this week's episode, where Jasmine Kennedy called out A'keria C. Davenport for being rude to production, and A'keria then fired back. So this drama presumably happened on the back of the preview for this week's upcoming episode, which came out recently, and it showed that the queens were discussing how they ranked each other's talent show performances in the Rater Queen. In the preview, Jasmine tells A'keria that she put her in 5th place because although she had an amazing performance, it wasn't as prepared like everyone else's. A'keria then hit back by saying that she brought her own props and that it sounds like a quote fake ass excuse. After this preview came out, Joey J actually tweeted a light-hearted story about the episode saying, "It didn't make the cut, but after our table talk, I looked at Jasmine dead in the eyes and said politely, 'You're not being very title holder right now,' and that, my friends, for the first time in Drag Race history was the night that Jasmine shut the F up." And Jasmine took this well and replied, "LMAO B-word, we cackled about it though after no shade." However, the actual drama then started when a lot of fans started criticising Jasmine over her ranking of A'keria. One Twitter user posted a screenshot from the preview showing that A'keria was ranked last overall by the group, saying, "Oh, this doesn't sit right with me at all." Another user quote tweeted this and said, "This ranking when Jasmine's routine was basic as hell and Joey J didn't land the flip is wild crazy to me." It also looks like Jasmine started receiving some serious hate over this because on the 16th of July, Jasmine quote tweeted one of the hate tweets, which looks like it has since been removed for violating Twitter's rules, and Jasmine said, "Telling me to kill myself is effing insane. Y'all are effing weird. It's an effing TV show, not your life. Grow the F up." Then, later that night, Jasmine replied to the viral tweet that criticised her ranking, and Jasmine revealed what she claims is the real reason she ranked A'keria low, and this tweet has since gone viral with over 1 million views. Jasmine said she, meaning A'keria, was not prepared, she was rude to production staff, she held up the talent show because her props weren't working, messed up the rehearsal schedule, we all had months to prepare for this, the puppets could have been done way before, it's her 3rd time, that's the real reason. A lot of people in the replies to this tweet then started questioning Jasmine about why she did not say any of this to A'keria's face in the episode. One user asked why she didn't clock A'keria about this at the time, and Jasmine replied, "I did. You can ask all the other girls." And when the Twitter user pushed back by asking why it wasn't on camera, Jasmine said, "It was all on camera, ask the girls." Another user then started mocking Jasmine, asking what she had to do to prepare for her own talent, other than click a few buttons on Shein to get a skimpy outfit. Jasmine clapped back saying, "I had weeks of rehearsal, getting back into physical cheer shape, stretching, reteaching myself how to fly, contact a cheer company to get the uniform, not Shein. What did you do to prepare, draggy doos? Turn on Paramount?" Then, on the 17th of July, A'keria responded to Jasmine's viral tweet saying, "I was so rude, but let's forget, I was the same B-word consoling you when you were crying, it's on TV, as well as help you cut strings on your dress. You're a joke and lying straight through those gums, but I'm done, Miss Backpack Drag." A'keria then posted some receipts, sharing a screenshot of a DM that Jasmine had sent her back in October, where Jasmine apologized and said she'd love to have a chat and talk about things one-on-one because things between them were, quote, a little rocky the last time they saw each other. Alongside this screenshot, A'keria said, "These B words be so effing fake, I swear. You're right, I did have months to make my puppet, just you had months to pay off those designers, LMAO. Like, girl, be for real, you don't know bleep. Me and production discussed prior to me coming. Just say you wanted to be a mean girl and move on." A'keria then followed this up with another tweet directly calling Jasmine a liar, saying, "Miss Jasmine, you are a liar. Just because you wanted to be a bully and can't handle the backlash, don't you dare try to lie and say I was rude to production. Little girl, you are a TV bully any other time. You knew this day was coming anyway, which is why you sent a BS apology prior, fake ass." Jasmine then responded to this saying it was not a fake apology, and she doubled down on her claims about A'keria being rude to production, saying, "I sent the apology to let you know that me and your fight had nothing to do with Silky, yet you didn't respond. As to rude to production, the props handler said otherwise after talent show, sis. I'm not gonna lie on you about that." However, A'keria didn't believe this at all and replied saying, "LOL, so they came to you out of all people right before Raider Queen, LOL, and said how rude I was after they helped me get dressed. Child, bye. We don't have anything else to talk about." Jasmine then also quote tweeted A'keria's tweet where she called her fake and said, "The apology was cause I have genuine respect for you. You are one of the most talented queens and I'll never take that away from you. But you didn't respond. Therefore, to me, you don't care. So why should I care?" So it seems that Jasmine and A'keria are beefing, and there is clearly some bad blood between them that has not yet been resolved. And this drama was literally still unfolding as I was making this video, so there may well be more developments by the time you're watching this, so we'll have to wait and see if there are any other further developments that come out about this later on. But as I always say, please do not send hate to Jasmine, A'keria, or any of the other queens involved. These videos are just to keep you up to date with what's happening in the world of Drag Race, but please remember, do not send hate to anyone and just consume this type of content responsibly. So there you go, there was the Have Your Say for All Stars 11, episode 11. Let me know what you think is going to happen next week in the grand finale, and what do you think overall of this season of All Stars? If you'd like to get early access to my videos, have your comments featured in my Have Your Say, be able to get your hands on my special poll as well as many other benefits, please consider checking out either Patreon, which is my main platform for my members, or for a more convenient option, you can also join my YouTube membership by clicking the join button under any of my videos, and there'll be links to that in the description. I'd also like to say thank you so much to all of my amazing Patreon members. You are all absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for all of the love and support you give me constantly. It really does keep me going, and it means more to me than you know. Please make sure you like and comment on this video to help boost it in the algorithm and promote it to even more people and grow the audience. And the biggest thing you can do is make sure you hit subscribe. If you can only do one thing, please do that because it does make a massive difference. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll join me for next episode, which is the final episode of the season, for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets, and drama. Thank you so much. Bye.